Hey everyone, this is Brad Hughes, School Principal and Chief Encouragement Officer from Ontario, Canada. And I've got some good news for you. You found the Good News, Brad News podcast, amplifying stories of heart-led educators moving from positive intention to action. Great people like you, improving kids' lives through service, connection, and finding the fun. So glad you're here. Let's get started. Hey listeners, welcome back to episode 9 of the Good News, Brad News podcast. I am your host, Brad Hughes, and as you settle in and get comfortable today, listeners like you are telling me that Good News, Brad News is so fresh, so light, so tasty that they bet you can't listen to just one. We'll return next week with another blue chip interview to inspire and motivate you. In the meantime, coming up next is a Good News, Brad News news brief. This is a Good News, Brad News news brief. Hey everyone, this is Brad Hughes with a Good News, Brad News news brief, brought to you by The Second Question. The time is now to ask the second question. I was more than a little intrigued when host Martin Silverman invited me to check out his podcast called The Second Question. Now that's a great title. Never mind the second question, I wondered. What's the first question? Now, Martin is an educator and fellow school principal from beautiful San Antonio, Texas. And for any of his teacher interviews, Martin asks a number of first questions, which he describes as softball questions, the kind focused on telling about yourself. Martin's second question for every teacher interview is, who is the best teacher you've ever had, and why are they the best? To Martin, the second question uncovers their vision, shifts the conversation from content to relationships, and reveals what they value and what they want to become. From there, Martin says his job is to help them be able to fulfill that for themselves, so that for some student in the future, they are the answer to the second question. The first question gets the ball rolling. The second question is an opportunity to get to the heart of matters, to someone's needs, values, aspirations, and purpose. This got me thinking about the power of the second question, and why we might need that second question now more than ever. Quite often, our first question to someone we encounter is, "How are you?" A question most often repeated back to us along with the usual socially acceptable replies like, "Not bad, fine, doing good." Now, my motto is, let no one pass by unacknowledged. And certainly the exchange I just described, one that's so common for all of us, one that can be repeated many times in a day, passes as an acknowledgement. It's a start. We lead busy lives. All of us are doing everything we can to get by during the stress and peril of the global pandemic. It's understandable that the script of our day, where we need to be, what we need to do, what we have to remember, drives our feet, our attention, our capacity to be present for others we encounter, especially our capacity for others that could really use an extra few moments for that second question. Stress shifts us into self-protection mode. We put on the blinders, we keep our heads down. We stick to the inner script lest we get distracted, get off track. Our focus is inward. Stress is a barrier to empathy. Empathy is what worship leader, teacher, and leadership developer Dan Wilt calls that ability to freely enter the experience of another. How can we enter that experience, Dan asked, if we're tucked safely inside our own feelings, our own experiences, our own worlds, and our own needs? See, it's not the first question that is the path to deeper relationships with others, nor to greater understanding of ourselves. Not the path to looking outward for opportunities to serve, support, connect. It's the second question that does that. And Dan Wilt believes that asking the second question is a practice that physically embodies that virtue of empathy. As we seek to uncover a little more with our second question, author and faith community builder Rodney Duttweiler evokes an image of this gentle art as someone drawing water from a well, as opposed to a power excavator breaking up hard-packed earth to reveal what's underneath. Indeed, both techniques seek to retrieve something from below the surface, but someone drawing water from the well does so gently, deliberately, inviting and embodying hope, trust, safety, and restoration in the cool water promised at the end. If your first question is, "How are you?" experiment by taking a pause, making eye contact, and softening your eyes and posture a little. And listen, really listen to the answer. If the answer is not bad, fine, doing good, then your second question might be, no, really, how are you? For Michael Bungay Stanier, author of the award-winning leadership book, The Coaching Habit, the first question is always, what's on your mind? And the second question is, and what else? Stanier encourages lots of wait time and even repeating the second question, and what else? As many times as needed to gently uncover what's underneath. Now, my go-to second questions are, what do you need? And how can I help? The second question I'm experimenting with lately is, how can I support your work today? Sometimes we may craft the second question on the spot based on the answer to the first, especially if we are willing to pause and be patient, while our gentle, encouraging presence makes it safe for our companion to tell us more. The power of the pause, increasing our wait time, leaving space to be present and to let your companion know you're not rushing away. And making the second question a habit has the potential to be transformative. Dan Wilt writes that entire friend networks may be transformed when someone starts to make asking the second question a new norm in their relationships over time. My mind goes to the potential transformation within families, classrooms, schools, workplaces, and communities. And it starts with a personal commitment to be ready to pose the second question. The second question uncovers the vision, shifts from content to relationships, reveals what others value and what they want to become, and positions us to help fulfill all of those for another person. What's your second question? And what's it say about you and what you value? What's the second question you need someone to ask right now? Today, could you be the person to help someone uncover their vision, their values, and their needs? I truly believe the time is now to ask the second question. Thanks for tuning in to this week's Good News, Brad News News Brief. I'll be back next week with another engaging interview. Until then, I challenge you to take time, to make time for that second question today. Take care. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Good News, Brad News podcast. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment wherever you found this podcast. And if you like what you heard, please recommend Good News, Brad News to a friend. And please hit me up on Twitter. I'd love to hear from you. You can find me at Brad, BRAD, _Hughes, HUGHES. I look forward to hearing from you and to reconnecting with you on our next episode. Until then, get out there and do amazing things.